Thanks for joining us this week on Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee. Join your hosts Chris Marriott and Paul Schreiner each week as they talk email marketing, life, purpose, faith, but mainly email marketing. If you're looking for some normalcy in these crazy times, you've come to the right place.
Welcome back to Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee. My name is Paul Schreiner, one of the founders at Audience Point. With me, I have my friend, my colleague, my Chris.
Mentor?
Yeah, mentor, sure. Yeah, that's probably the right word. None
Chris
other than,
Marriott.
Yeah, you're
Chris
welcome.
Marriott.
Every time I try to make it
I know.
awkward. And every time I think this isn't going to be the awkward one, I'm like, no. It's like a dog chasing.
I just stepped all over it. You think we'd had no you would think we've had no practice in this, but
right.
It's a high wire, folks. It's a high wire.
So this week we have a special guest, a friend of mine from a ways back, but really doing some pretty cool, amazing things. Her name is Keisha Fitzgerald. Originally met her through the company Beachbody, and now she's doing her own thing, which is also super cool, excited to share. So I think that's going to be a cool thing.
She certainly fits the theme of this year, the builders, and we're really excited for you to hear more about what she's been building, particularly since the beginning of this year.
And I think one of the things you're going to find about Keisha is she is just a bundle of energy. She is that piece that is the catalytic event for so many people, the starting point. They look back and they say that was the thing. And this is when we have that transition into the awkward. This episode brought to you by...
I hope it's been being brought to us by Audience Point.
By Audience Point, right. We're focusing on builders, and one piece of building is absolutely that catalytic event, right? It's that underlying source that says this is where we're going toward, and for that you need a plan. That plan, that piece, we believe a piece of that is solved by data. That's a huge part of what Audience Point does, is helps email marketers make decisions based on better data. We're excited about that piece of what we're doing. We're excited about getting to share Keisha with you guys today. So,
and so the junior sponsorship partner is Email Connect, which we don't talk about often, which is my company, which connects brands with the right ESP vendor. If you're unhappy with your vendor, if you're thinking you want to take a look around and you want to build a better email program, come talk to us. We'd be happy to help you sort through the decision-making process. And with that, let's go to Keisha.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee. Here with my colleague, Chris Marriott, and our guest today, my friend Keisha Fitzgerald. From her website, I'm going to introduce you, Keisha, then you get to do all the talking. It's going to be so good.
I can't wait.
From her website, she is a hugger, a life enthusiast, a podcaster, a speaker, multi-passionate entrepreneur, obsessed with creating tools, cultivating community, and empowering you with the perspective that serves you. Keisha and I first met when she was a rising star in the Beachbody organization. She's brought life transformations to thousands of people. One of those people I'm married to. And so I'm very grateful to her investment in my wife. Before her time at Beachbody, she spent time in the corporate world at high-tech startups, but really felt called to a different life. And that's where this whole thing started. And that's her calling now. Because, always there. Her newest endeavor is an effort called The Collective that serves women in a lot of ways, from networking to support to personal development to so much more. And we're going to talk a lot more about that. Anyway, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited, you guys. I'm pumped to be here. Thank you for the warm intro. I'm ready to rock.
Okay. Well, on the show, we usually start, because it's Email Geeks at Home Drinking Coffee, Today, probably not as much coffee. We are recording a little later in the afternoon, but we still are drinking things because it's important to drink.
Important to hydrate, yes.
I'll start. Today I'm drinking a chocolate Beachbody Shakeology drink from Beachbody. Yeah, I'm not above pandering, Chris.
You are such a panderer.
I'm drinking a gallon of water, literally out of the gallon.
That is impressive. I, Paul, am supporting past guests and enjoying some ugly water,
Right.
peach flavored.
Ooh.
Everyone who's ever been on a show, we just keep bringing it back in.
So ugly Hugh, get real, get ugly. Hugh was a guest in season 2, and I'm enjoying. As Paul said, it's in the afternoon, so which means also I won't be sharing the Santo Domingo coffee can. We'll just move on from that.
Every week, Chris talks about our coffee, his coffee from the Dominican Republic, to remind me that we didn't get to go on the trip this year.
Oh.
And actually, did you tell me that Keisha was going to go on that trip as well?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think, were you on that trip?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
so,
he also didn't get to go.
so you were thwarted. Damn it! I should have brought that coffee then. I could have double barreled it today. Keisha, here's my Dominican coffee. I'm really sorry that you didn't get to go. Dominican Republic is an amazing place, and it's so much fun. So again, it's too bad you didn't get to go. So.
Thanks.
I really like you
It
guys.
sounds incredible, Chris. It sounds
Even
so
when I'm
good.
not going to mention it, I mention it.
Keisha, I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about what you're doing now, because again, my wife's on Zoom calls and podcasts and all kinds of magic stuff. Tell us a little bit about that, because we're doing builders. That's what we're focusing on this season, and you
Yeah.
are a builder.
Yeah. So I love building community, and I love starting things from the bottom and trying it on for size and tweaking it as I go. That's like the style of building in anything. But in particular, I'm really passionate about building female communities because I think women together is just so powerful. So what I'm doing now is I started a new company in January called She Goes Company. And there's 2 silos to it right now. One is I help female podcasters launch podcasts. And the other is I have a community, global personal development community called The Collective. And underneath that is my podcast, which is called Empower Her. And I'm just obsessed with really connecting people to talk about like real talk conversations, and which is why I'm excited to be here with you guys, because you guys are just cool. But that's really what I've focused the last, 6 years of my career on, is cultivating female communities. To what Paul had mentioned with Beachbody being the first one, I built a large network marketing business. And then as of January, I was kind of separated off to build my own thing. And I'm loving it. And that's where I'm passionate at now. I did have a background in the tech space. So I worked with software engineers who wrote code that they put on hardware, but that wasn't exactly my jam. This is a little more up my alley. So I'm loving it. And that's
I
kind of,
can imagine nerds. Keisha comes in and she says, "Hey, I'm ready," and this is what we would look like.
yeah. I worked with a lot of guys that thought it was pretty wild, and I was. So I understand.
Yeah, you have to be careful around a lot of software engineers. Oftentimes they come into work drunk and armed.
Yeah,
And
it's about self-protection, Chris.
exactly.
And you've recently moved to
Austin.
not Houston, Austin.
Yep.
Tell me
Yeah,
about that. Why Austin?
Yeah, so my fiance and I have been together for 11 and a half years, and we decided, he's a dentist, and we decided to move to Austin. We decided 6 weeks before we moved, so we packed up all of our stuff, put it into our car, and sold everything else. He actually sold it all on OfferUp, like on the app.
Yeah.
In 24 hours, he sold all of our stuff. It was honestly amazing to see him just like selling everything. And then, we just packed it up and moved here. So we've lived in Austin at the time that we're recording this for a month now. And we love it. The people are so warm, and we're originally from Seattle. We lived in New York City for 4 years, lived in San Diego, and this is like home for sure. I love Texas. I had no idea, but I'm excited to be here. So it's a cool space to be in for sure.
Now,
So how did you find a space in Austin? Did you find it before you went down remotely, or did you go down there and do do your own version of HGTV's House in a Hurry?
So ironically, I met a woman that is part of my community who's a real estate agent here. And so I met her. I had met her through social media. We met in person and she took us around to places, and we had flown out here 2 weeks before we moved. We found a place an hour and a half before we were on our flight back to San Diego, and then we signed.
there you go.
And here we are. It was
I like
it was really fun until the very end when I was starting to like get pretty sweaty and a little bit nervous about what was going to happen because we weren't going to have a place to live, but it worked out. So here we are.
Excellent.
Yeah. Excited to be here.
Now you came so let's get past the tech stuff because no one cares about that. I mean, we do, but that, in terms of what defines Cation, it's not that.
Yeah.
But I do want to look at, and I think this is very interesting because I know there's a lot of folks that are looking at side hustle versus regular hustle versus all of this.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me the difference between sort of network marketing,
Yeah.
Beachbody. I know you do a lot of outreach, a lot of just connecting and sort of building people up versus a traditional business where you're like, you know what, I'm hanging my own shingle.
Yeah.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I've done both, and it's very different.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that when I transitioned from building my network marketing business into building something else, that a lot of those skills would be transferable. Some of them were definitely the interpersonal skills, a lot of just the resiliency that's kind of built from trying to figure it out and being adaptable. But it's very different in that in a network marketing structure, you don't create your own products. You don't deal with like distributing the products. You don't actually, I mean, you can obviously create your own email marketing from it and whatnot, but they do a lot of advertising. They do a lot of making, companies, household names, products, household products. And you don't create the product launch schedule. And what I found was moving into this new space in January with this new company was now I'm in this gigantic ocean, which is awesome, but also there's no direction versus in a network marketing structure. It's kind of like follow these steps. And if you do these steps consistently over time, you can kind of build out this infrastructure that's already created for you. So it's a little bit more of like a business in a box that you kind of plug into versus actually building something from the ground up. It's your own products. It's your own real like decisions of when you distribute and how you distribute those products and what they actually are, right? So that was a big difference that I didn't fully think about, but I'm excited to have had both because now I can speak to both. And I think to your point of like the side hustle, I think why network marketing and like why Beachbody, for example, is so appealing to people is because however much effort you put into it, you can kind of control what you get out of it. Some people come into it with the intention of like, I want to build something fun on the side. I want to connect with other women. I want to connect with other people, men alike too, or they come into this with the intention of like, I'm going to treat this like a massive business. I'm going to plug into this training and this ecosystem and I'm going to build it and either fund something else with it, or that's what I'm going to stay in. And for me, I came into it with the intention, like building it into a fun side thing that was fulfilling alongside my corporate job. But as I found that I really enjoyed it and I started to teach other women how to duplicate what I was doing and it grew really quickly, I was obsessed with that part of it too, like helping other women build, right?
Right.
And so I loved all of that. And now that in itself, that business that I built can now fund the next thing, which will then fund the next thing. So it's been cool to see the progression of it too.
I'm going to save producer David the embarrassment of asking, but could you define network marketing? Because I think from my experience, it used to have another name that's sort of less savory, and I think network marketing,
like it used to be called pyramid scheme, is what you're referring to. Yeah.
Yes.
So essentially network marketing, there's a lot of different types of network marketing companies, and you're going to see them pop up more because essentially it's a way for companies to not have brick and mortar franchises. Instead of, them distributing like products themselves, they're doing it through people that are advocates of the products. So that's why network marketing works. There's some where some, people come together, they decide they're going to build a network marketing company, and they're going to add products into the ecosystem of the network marketing company. And there's lots of companies that have done it that way. But in particular, speaking to the Beachbody was a direct consumer company. And then there were so many people that were advocates of these products and these programs, which Beachbody in itself is a, workout programs and supplementation. And there were so many people that saw results from this that they were reaching back out to Beachbody asking if there was some type of referral program. And because there wasn't yet, they decided to then implement a network marketing structure to it,
Right.
so people could create businesses out of it. So there's two types. One is like, we decided to create a network marketing structure and add the products in afterwards. And then the other type is essentially the product was super successful and the network marketing structure made sense to grow it even further through the mouths of advocates,
Yep.
Grassroots marketing, rather than having a brick and mortar franchise and them having all of this overhead. So then you're basically compensated kind of like through an affiliate structure of commission based off of people that are purchasing those products. So the bad stigma that network marketing has is from the companies back in the day that are no longer around, where you had to pay a massive amount of money to buy in, and then you were paid based off of signing up people, versus any new network marketing company, they have to pay you based off of you don't make front end commission off of signing up people. You make the bulk of your money off of how you can help other people develop the business through what's called volume.
So
that's
there's
the
still, so there's still an upstream and a downstream sort of structure.
Yeah.
But as you said, I mean, the old, and there was I think it was HBO or Showtime that recently had a series, with making fun of I wish I could remember that. Someone in Florida, producer David, if you can do a quick check on that and let me know, that'd be great. But
just do it, David.
Wait, I'm getting it in my ear. Oh, we don't have earpiece. Anyway, where as you said, where your goal was to sell downstream, make them buy lots of the product, and you made the money off that.
Yep.
So it's interesting. There's still downstream, upstream, but it makes a ton of sense when you say, your job being upstream was to help those downstream sell better, sell more. I mean, and it was good for them and good for you, and everybody succeeded together. But so interesting. How big was your at the point you left? How many people were downstream from you?
Just over 4,000.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible.
Chris,
I thought you were going to say 400. That was like the top of my.
And keep in mind that it's not just like, hey, here's the downline, because again.
Oh, downline, right? I'm sorry, upline, downline. Thank you for correcting me, and embarrassing me in front of Keisha.
all 4,000 of these people were involved in the lives of other people,
right?
Yep.
Doing the daily workouts, talking about nutrition, talking about what are the things in their lives that are broken that's causing them to get back into this cycle.
Yeah.
So when you talk about that 4,000, multiply that by probably 100, and that would be total reach. I would guess. Think that's fair, Keisha?
Yeah, it's cool too, because when you think about it, like, I think it's important for people to understand like the business structure of it, of understanding, like, for example, someone that you signed up could make more money than you, right? Like, it's not an upline or upstream, downstream. It's not that type of thing where like I could sign up someone who wants to put in more effort, who could surpass my income, right? Because they could bring more people into their organization, mentor their people even better. But to Paul's point, I think the powerful part of it that network marketing has is you're connecting like-minded people together in community around something that they care about. And when that product happens to be something that changes or impacts someone's life, it's not just that person that's impacted. To Paul's point, it's the people around them that are impacted by them showing up as a better version of themselves. So that's why I think Beachbody, as opposed to other network marketing companies that are maybe more transactional, like, hey, buy this product, see you later. Those companies haven't done as well as Beachbody has done so well, because it's created this ecosystem of people that are like working out and eating better. So obviously their marriages are improving, their relationship with their kids, that type of thing. So the reach is wide because the products are community and products combined together, which is why it's a little bit different.
Yep, makes a lot of sense.
I want to talk about, you were talking about, why people get involved with a Beachbody, and I thought that, that's been true for Jessica as well. what I wanted to look at with you was when that, you said the intention, right, of what you were doing.
Yeah.
When that intention changes, right?
Yeah.
When there's a point where you reach, where you say, this is what I'm doing and I'm all in, but okay, now there's a new all in,
Yeah.
and I can't be all in the old way. And there's that whole grieving process. There's the whole everything process.
Yeah.
How about that?
Oh, that's such a good question. So, how it felt for me, so, building up a gigantic organization like this with so many women that I love and I've worked with for years. But when you have this, and you guys can connect with this, and I'm sure some people listening to this, like when you have that like entrepreneurial spirit, you actually like the beginning stage. Like you love when it's new and you don't know what the heck you're doing and you're trying to figure it out and you feel lost. Like I actually crave that beginning stage, which I think is rare, but when you really love that beginning, it felt like I was just used to doing it, and it started to lose the passion because it wasn't so challenging anymore, right? Because I had done it for so long. And what it felt like was I had a foot on two paddle boards, right? Like I was starting this new company and I had this existing company and I was kind of like in the water. If you can picture one foot on each paddleboard, it felt like, this feels so uncomfortable internally. Like, what am I supposed to do here? Should I pick one side or the other? And I decided to essentially still mentor and maintain the existing business, but for sake of someone that doesn't understand the structure, it's kind of like I moved from being an active CEO to a board member.
Yep.
And then started to put more of my energy into the next thing because it was almost like too many tabs were open in my brain trying to figure out where to focus, whether that was with my podcast, with the other just different elements of what I was managing. And that decision, it did involve like grieving, just like making any transition in your life or career where you're like, this is so comfortable and familiar and I know how to do this. And now I'm choosing to go start at the bottom of something else and like trying to figure it out. And I don't have all these people around me. I'm having to do it by myself. But after that uncomfortable feeling got to be to the point where I needed to make a change, that's when I did it, which was January of this year. So now I'm kind of like doing both, but it looks a little different.
Yeah.
So you made the decision to start your own community and the collective and do all the things you're doing now before the world turned upside down.
Yeah.
Several months
Right.
later.
I mean, that's also fair to point out, Chris. Like this was all in the midst of, I don't know, first ever pandemic.
Exactly. So how did the pandemic impact the launch?
Yeah.
Do you think it did it help you because people were stuck, looking for inspiration? They were stuck at home, or did it have no impact? What would you say?
It drastically helped it. It was interesting though, because so I have a global community with 1,300 women that are in this community, and it stemmed off of essentially people that listen to my podcast, which is in the personal growth space, that wanted to deep dive a little bit more. That's kind of how the collective was formed. And so it started in January with an idea of like, I wonder if people will like this. I don't know exactly what this is going to look like. And around mid-March, right? So 2.5 months in, all of a sudden it's like, hey, lockdown, everybody's at home, people are panicking, they're dealing with feelings, right? Anxiety and everything that's going with this and things that are really tough for some people. And I'm in the personal growth space. So it's like, yeah, people needed it more than ever. And they wanted to be more connected with women that were trying to still show up and do the best that they could, even given the circumstances. A lot of women that were, working outside of the house and now coming home trying to do that remotely. And now, oh, by the way, teach your kids how to go to school too. Like so many different moving parts. So they almost needed a safe space to lean into to talk about these types of topics together, which just catapulted the growth. And then on top of that, because this ecosystem, the way that I build things and the way that I'll continue to build different layers of this company and where it will be in years will be based off of the community. So the community of my podcast is what I built first. They said they wanted more. They wanted more connection to other women that also love personal growth. So I created a community and launched that in January. That community said, hey, a pandemic happened in March. How do I start a podcast? Because you've had a successful podcast. Can you teach me how to start a podcast? So I built a sub community teaching women to start podcasts. right? So I take 20 women a month through a podcasting course from idea to launch in 4 weeks. And we've done that every single month with 20 women in the community, right, that want to deep dive and launch their own podcasts. And then we made a community of all the podcasters. So I'm just building community out the wazoo because people love it.
Community
like
here, there, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Community.
Yeah. And so
all we ask is if one of them says, I want to do a podcast about email marketing,
I'll send him your way.
We got enough competition. Yeah, just say, I don't think that's a very good idea. Who wants to hear about email marketing?
Oh, good.
Oh, but the suits won't like that. So yeah, we love email marketing.
So the one thing I think you'd appreciate, and this is based off your podcast and just the impact it has on a family. So Jess will, she'll listen to it or whatever. And so we all get to listen to it, which is, again, fine, good, great, right? But our 9-year-old daughter,
oh no,
she was doing the dishes or starting to do the dishes, and she's like, now I'm gonna do the damn thing. And I was like, oh my Lord.
That's the extra, like, Chris, in case you don't know or anyone listening, that's how I close the intro to my podcast. I'm like, all right, girl, now let's do the damn thing. So I have had a lot of people in the community send me videos of like their young children saying that. I'm like, sorry.
Sorry about having your children curse.
I'm like, I feel like they probably heard it on the playground anyway. I don't know.
Exactly. Listen, Keisha, Paul said worse on this very podcast.
That is true.
Perfect.
That is true. That is true.
Paul, I love that. That's really funny.
I thought you'd enjoy that one. What's next in terms of the growth? Where is that headed towards?
Yeah. So She Goes Company is the name of the company, and I want to continue to develop different silos based off of what the community wants. So instead of coming into it with the mindset of I want to create all these products, all these programs, all these whatever things I want to do, I'm literally just I want to develop a community and then literally listen to what they want and then just create it. Right?
That's called marketing. That's
marketing.
I'm not
customer first. What a unique.
Well,
but I think a lot of people, like I talk to so many entrepreneurs that they're like, I've got this amazing idea, but they never did any market research. They don't even know if maybe it's a good idea in their head, but I'm like, do you have people that want to buy that thing from you? Or is that a problem that people actually have that you're going to solve with your product or your service or whatever? Or did you just create that up and like, you just wanted to make it because you think it sounds cool? And I refuse to do the latter. So I build the community first. And then when they tell me that they want something, then I go make that. So after COVID and all this crap passes, the next silo of it will be events, which is going to be nationwide, like meetups for women.
Cool.
And personal development conferences and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And a merch line too. We're doing a merch line, which I'm figuring out right now.
That's what everyone needs. We're doing a lot of thinking about what the merch line should look like for email marketers. Lots of demand there too.
I mean, you definitely need you need like a hat,
right,
or something. Or you need some glasses, like cool blue blocker glasses.
Well, and before the show started, one of the things that you said, and I thought was really interesting, is we had talked about, hey, Keisha, look at our cool new product and how it tells you when to email and how often to email and all it, spoon-sized tidbits that'll make you healthy, right?
Yeah.
And your response was, I mean, I guess that's cool, but I'm more of a YOLO type, right? And when you're talking about building a business, right, there is the jump, right? It's that moment where like, oh shit, what have I done? My best option here is to jump. Like that's the best I can do, right?
Yep.
So you work with a lot of women.
Yeah.
A lot of women.
Yeah.
Both directly and indirectly through your podcast, you know, rippling effect. What do you tell women about when's the right time?
That's literally not a thing. Like there's never a right time. And it's funny because you can even use the current state of the world. It's like, oh, I'm going to wait until things calm down when the kids go back to school. Did you know that you're going to be homeschooling them potentially? Like, I mean, like life just gets wild, right? Like we never know when the right time is. And I think the right time is to start it and give yourself grace that it's going to be challenging at the beginning. Like anything new, you're going to suck a little bit at the beginning, like everybody does. But when you put more reps in, you suck less. right? Then you get better. That's literally how we learn. And I think sometimes it's like we give grace to kids about it, but we don't give grace to ourselves, that like, because now all of a sudden you're an adult, you're supposed to get it right every time. And that's just not the reality of it. So I always tell women to start and that you're going to figure it out as you go. But sitting in it and this analysis paralysis isn't going to give you clarity, that the clarity is going to come through action. And if you don't try it out, you're not going to know whether it was the right move or not. And everything that happens after you start is feedback, whether that's feedback of like, awesome, people like this worked, or that's feedback of, oh, that didn't work. But the difference between the people that are crushing it and the people that aren't is they just get back up faster when it doesn't work, right? And so I think when you go into it with that mindset, which is what I'm always talking to women about, I'm like, of course, like you're going to suck at first. I don't know how you could skip that stage. And would you really want to? Because the lessons that you're going to learn on along the way, I'm sure that if you guys, straight out the gates were like, let me build out this ecosystem of how other companies can do email marketing, but you had never had something that didn't go according to plan, then you wouldn't have learned all of the things that you need to learn to handle the stage that you're at now. And so I just kind of prep them with that and remind them of what they already know. But sometimes it's just helpful to hear that again, to give yourself grace when you're just starting.
So the right time is always now.
Yeah.
Well, that's
like it was actually yesterday, but now works too.
Well, that relates to a quote of yours that I love from you were on another podcast, not one as prestigious as this one, but you were on another podcast, and you said you need to take action within 24 hours of coming up with an idea.
Yep.
And that's what everything you're just saying seems to reinforce that idea that you just got to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think like it doesn't have to be, a lot of times people think like, oh, I've got this idea that I want to write a book. And when they think, okay, in order for me to write a book, I need to write that book and I need to take action and figure out what the book's going to be. It's like, no, in the next 24 hours, you need to do something that's going to give you skin in the game to actually write that book. So when I came up with the idea to launch a podcast, it was just over 1.5 years ago. And I was like, I don't know how to start a podcast. Okay. Obviously, because I've never done it. And I was like, but how am I going to actually do this? Well, I have to give myself more skin in the game. So I posted on social media, where I'm very active on social media. I was like, hey, I'm starting a podcast. And then afterwards, I was like, don't really know how to do this. But now more people know that I'm going to do it. So that was the action that I took in 24 hours to give me that. Right.
The accountability there.
And I think a lot of times people just skip that part because they think that it's like they'll sit on it and they'll wait for it to be perfect. But really that in itself is just a form of stalling, waiting for that perfect time or waiting for it to be so perfect. But it's never going to get there by just sitting in it.
Right.
And frankly, I tend to fall into that same camp, starting a business, leaving a job, starting a ministry in the Olympic Peninsula, writing a book. Like I'm an Enneagram 7. That's what we do, right? We build cool things. Yeah. See?
Enneagram 7s unite.
But the thing that I've found, and friends who are not that, friends who are, this is, I guess I just want to preface it to say, this is not for everyone, this life, right? There are people who are like, my job is to love my kids, period. It's to bring home a stable income. It is to be a good husband. It's to be a good father. It's to be, it's to be a good employee. Like, I feel like that's my calling. And for those people, please do that and do that well.
Yep.
And so, because I also know I've run into people that are like, I get so excited when I talk to you. I'm just ready to just, and the answer is maybe for you, recognize there's also a brake pedal.
Yeah. Well, but I think you just nailed it though, Paul. And that's like such an important thing. No matter what you're doing, it's like, I think that you're gifted a vision for your life and these goals that come up as you're going through life, right? And it's not going to look like anybody else's, but then you're also gifted the resiliency, the resourcefulness to figure out how to do it. And for, like you said, Enneagram 7s, which anyone listening to this, if you don't know what Enneagram is, it's a personality test. You need to go take it. It changes your life. It tells you how you're motivated. Like, that's so great. If you want to send out massive amounts of emails, you need to know how you're going to write the email. There you go. I just plugged your email marketing.
That's awesome. The suits are going to be very happy about that.
But I think it's really important that we understand everybody has a different approach, but just I don't know anyone that's created anything that crushed it straight out the gate. So
Right.
that part nobody gets to skip, regardless of what motivates you.
Some of us are born into suck and live here our whole life. What?
I want to talk a little bit about what other people, what other people can take away from listening today. And one of it was I was perusing your book list on your site, and I got to say, I mean, oftentimes, I'm a little cynical on a lot of self-help or business books. I know Paul's a big fan of them, but I got to tell you, you had a lot of titles on there that actually I've heard people speak very highly of, or I've seen my own children read them. Like The Third Door. Literally just yesterday, I was having lunch with a guy who was going on and on about The Third Door. And what a great book it was and how I have to read it. And there it is on your site.
Yeah.
So
do you know about Alex Panayan? Like, his story is so cool.
I do now. I mean, after
you guys, real quick, he hacked The Price is Right. He figured out how to get on the Price is Right. He won. He sold a sailboat to fund his book, and he was like in college at USC. Read the book.
That's exactly. Dan Nashar, if you're listening, I know you're a fan. We're here. We're talking about you. I had lunch with Dan Nashar, and that's exactly what he said. So obviously, I have to read the book.
Yep.
But what 2 or 3 books from your list would you say are for somebody who says, Keisha's got a ton of energy. I like what she's saying. I need to start thinking like that.
Yeah.
Obviously listen to your podcasts, and would be a great place to start, and listen to several of them. And they also come with the equal amounts of energy, which I love. But what books would you, from that list of books, what 2 or 3 would you say, if you're going to read something, if you're going to start somewhere, what would you tell them to read first?
Yeah. I think for this audience, I would say The Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker. It's science-based, and he was a researcher at Harvard talking about happiness and what people actually think happiness will equate to. So it's very science-based, which I love. I also would highly recommend for this audience The Upside of Stress by Kelly McGonigal. If you haven't listened to her TED Talk, it has 26 million views. I interviewed her on my podcast. She's amazing. And she talks about how the way that we perceive stress is how our body will physically react to it. It literally, you release a different type of neurosteroid into your body if you perceive stress to be helpful. And so if you are a little skeptical of personal development or self-help style books, go to the science-based ones where it's backed up by research. So The Upside of Stress, Happiness Advantage, those 2 straight out the gates. And then if you want to move a little bit into the self-help, but you still want a little bit of structure, Gay Hendricks' The Big Leap is awesome. It talks about upper limits of our brains, which is really cool. So I like that one too.
Great advice.
You forgot one.
Paul, what have you?
You forgot one.
Oh, and then if you haven't read Spuds by Paul Schreiner, are you even living? Do you live under a rock?
And here I thought Paul was going to show one of the books from your list.
No, I'm way more self-serving than that.
Yeah, shameless self-promotion.
Oh, good. You guys are awesome.
No, that's good. Talked about what's next. What makes you uncomfortable?
Staying comfy. I don't like to stay comfy. That makes me uncomfortable. If everything feels like it's going too smoothly, I really actually like change. I like to do new things. I like to try things on. I don't like to feel stuck in too much routine. So I think that comes from also, Paul, you can recognize this as an Enneagram 7, but I think I've done a lot of work to figure out what actually motivates me to take action, but also what fears I have, what holds me back without even going to personal development. I think it's really important that people understand themselves. They actually understand when an emotion comes up for them, like a stuck feeling or what makes them uncomfortable. Why is this actually making me uncomfortable? And for me, it's knowing that I'm an Enneagram 7, I don't want to be trapped. I don't want to be trapped in negativity. I don't want to be trapped in routine that I don't get excited about. I don't want to be trapped in a conversation that makes me want to take a fork and shove it in my eyeball because it's too boring, right? I know what I need, so then I can go create a life that's going to cultivate the type of environment that's actually going to serve me. So the more self-aware people get, the more they can do that for them for what they need, you know?
I love it. No, and that makes sense too, right? Like, the thing is about my life, you don't walk across a parking lot without epiphanies, right? Those moments of like, the most important moment in your life happened 35 times an hour, right? And so for folks who aren't us, it's harder for them to keep up with. But to your point, yeah, there's when you sort of know, here's what works for me, and you can craft that environment around you that makes that successful.
Yeah.
There's a lot more happiness in life.
And you also then can know what works for other people as you get more self-aware of what you need. And then you figure out what the people around you actually need, like through things like Enneagram. And people can say like, oh, blah, blah, Enneagram or personality test or personal development. But I'm like, tell me how your life doesn't improve if you know how your kids are motivated, if you know how your significant other is happier, if you know how they can understand that you love them. Like that stuff matters for people that want to have strong relationships, which means if you're a happier person, you're going to be more productive in your life, which means you're going to build a better business. You're going to build a better email list. You're going to do all the things that you want to do, right? But you have to take care of understanding yourself and understanding the people that are around you that are going to contribute to how you're going to show up in this world. And if you know them, you can support them better too.
So if someone wanted to learn more about you, obviously there's the social medias, right?
Yeah. Instagram's my favorite.
Instagram's your favorite. What is the best way? So Instagram, hop on, follow Keisha Fitzgerald, and start liking and commenting. Hey girl.
You can listen to my podcast. It's called Empower Her Podcast. It's twice a week podcast. And a thing that I'm stoked about, and any business like owners listening to this, I have a text community because texting is all the rage, guys. Texting can drive traffic to your email list too, as you guys know. But I have a massive text community now where I send out like inspiring little like text messages that are kind of like if your best friend and a fortune cookie like had a baby. That's essentially what I'm doing, and building out thousands of people onto this text list, and it builds this intimacy, and then you can use it as an opt-in to your email list. So everybody get on a text list, like create a text list. It's so juicy. It's so good.
And so the thing is, our audience, it is email marketers, it's non-email marketers, right? But it's the idea that the hustle, that's going to be ever present across everyone, right?
Yep, for sure.
And doing their job better, the idea, certainly SMS, text messaging is huge in our space. We're not just email, we're marketers in the digital space. One thing. So absolutely, that's true. If they want to become part of the collective, the sort of a deeper community, find like-minded women who are going to support them, encourage them, empower them to chase their dreams, how would they do that?
KeishaFitzgerald.com/the collective.
Look at that. Excellent. Well, we usually round out the show with a little thing we like to call
the lightning round.
Yeah, let's do
lightning round.
This sounds fun already.
Oh, it's
fun.
Before
we get to that, I do want to say one thing. There's a very interesting group in the email marketing world called the Women of Email Marketing.
Right, absolutely.
And actually, we had one of the founders on in season 1, Kristen Bond.
Right.
Yeah.
And if any of you are joining this week, again, I think you're a women empowerment group in email,
right? And
Keisha is a broader women empowerment group, and I think there's obvious synergies there, and we would encourage you, if you're listening again and you're part of the Women of Email, get involved with Keisha and the collective, and Keisha might be something you want to look at. You're not a woman of email. Well, you're a woman, but not of email. But
I'm a woman.
Anyway.
Wait, actually, fun fact, Chris, I'm a woman and I email people. So I
there we go.
qualify.
then maybe there is a place for you there. Maybe there is a place for you there. Far be it from Paul and I to say who does and doesn't belong. Right. I think it's probably best for all of us if I go to the lightning round. All right, so in the I will say there's been more talk about email in this than any non-email guest we've ever had. Again, I think the suits are going to be very happy with this episode. So, Keisha, thank you. So anyway, the lightning round. I say a word, and you say the first thing that pops into your head.
Oh,
It
I'm
could be
so
another
excited.
word or a phrase. And typically, Paul and I will analyze one of your responses in sort of a, why would you say that?
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I hope it's weird. Okay.
All right, so here we go. First word, empower.
Her. That's my
That was
podcast.
kind of I like to get sweet. I wanted to start off with a little bit of a lie.
That was a layup. That was my podcast name.
All right, career.
Oriented. I don't know.
Like that. All right. Insanity.
Ooh.
Burpee. It's a fitness program. It's
Okay.
a fitness program.
Yeah.
Burpees.
Yeah, no. In fact, I saw advertisement for the Insanity workout on the Beachbody
They're probably
website.
targeting you, Chris, because they can see you're coming in and ripped already.
Listen, let me tell you something, Paul. If you've never tried an Insanity workout, you should. It's
bananas.
It's insane. I mean, you might think you're in shape, but it's
It'll
insane.
kick your butt. Yeah.
So that's where that came from. It will kick your butt. In fact, the only guy who could probably handle it is Joe DeSena, who is from Spartan Run, and who's another guest of ours.
You're good.
More plugs, Chris. More plugs.
You're
But
good
Paul,
at
you
it.
told me we need more of that. All right.
Real Joe DeSena.
Next one, dream.
Vacay. Vacation.
Oh, like the Dominican Republic would have been.
Thanks, Chris.
That turned out better than I'd even imagined it.
I actually did that for you, Chris.
I know.
I did that for you.
Aisha, you're, maybe I get rid of Paul as the sidekick, and we'll do the podcast because that was perfect. All right, the last one, number 5. Number 5 is barrier.
I thought stuck. Like feeling stuck is a barrier.
I was kind of looking for how somebody would get through or over.
You want to know how someone would get over it.
When you hear a barrier, when you see a barrier, hear a barrier, what do you think?
I think of like, this is something that I need to work around. I need to figure out how to think differently about it because perspective is going to drive your behavior and your action. So you need to think differently about if it's actually a barrier or if you're deciding it's a barrier.
Nice.
Yeah, Chris.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, what's up? But I thought I had to say the word that came to mind. So when you said
Chris, she was doing what you told her to do. Chris, why are you picking on her?
But no, but the biggest barrier is feeling like you're stuck for me.
Right.
Right? If you feel like you're stuck and you can't do anything about it, like, ooh, how are you going to do it? Well, you got to figure it out.
That's a good point. So when you're stuck, recognize it's a barrier and it's something you got to get over or around or under.
Or redefine it if it's not actually a barrier and understand that it's a teaching lesson for you to figure out how to navigate it. And then when you get past it, you can look back and feel proud of yourself of how you've navigated that and then move on to the next thing.
I love it. So we've learned that Paul's never done an insanity workout, and maybe we'll ask producer David to actually do one and report back on it.
We can have him do it on the after show sometime.
I would love that. I'd love that. And, kill 2 birds, 1 stone for producer David. Get his workout and the after show. But again, thank you for the dream, the answer to the dream, the vacay. That gave me great pleasure. So thank you. That's all I got, Paul.
Yeah, Acacia, as always, it's great to reconnect. I'm so excited about what you have going on. I hope that some of our listeners are inspired, that they connect with you, or that this might just push them a little further down their career path. So
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. I
you.
appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we're back. And Paul, you called it.
Well, I'm not sure I did. I think there may have been a change. So between when we finished recording and when we pulled this up, I said it's going to be a Bill and Ted's background because the movie's coming out. Was that the case? Or did you make a change, Mr. Inman?
Well, this was the plan all along since our sponsor for this episode is Bill and Ted Face the Music, isn't it? The 3rd installment of Bill and Ted Trilogy, available now for streaming in select theaters.
You're right. We're very honored to have them as a sponsor, Paul. Don't speak ill of our sponsors.
I don't remember this.
Maybe I'm confused. I have my wires crossed.
You can view it in the comfort of your own home for the modest price of, I believe it's $19.99. So,
Which I know sounds, cheapskate Paul looks at that and I'm like, $20. I'm not spending $20 on some movie. Rah, rah, rah. But if I go to the theater to watch a movie.
right. I mean, it's, $15 a ticket. So, you can, take.
But we've just been so trained because of streaming, because, it's free. It's part of Netflix or Amazon or Disney Plus, right? Or I'm just going to rent a movie. It's $3-4. But, when you're talking about brand new out, where you normally go to the theater, $20 is actually a pretty good price.
Yeah, it's a really good price. And so I would encourage people who are interested to see it. So anyway, I wanted to start, enough about our sponsor. I wanted to start with, I thought our fans might be interested in learning that Dr. Scott Zeller, he was a season 2 guest. He was named one of the 10 most influential people in healthcare design by Healthcare Design Magazine's HCD 10 award, which is big stuff. It just happened this week. And he was given that for his work creating the dedicated psychiatric emergency centers that he's building across country, known as empath units. So
that's great.
If you haven't listened to his episode yet, we encourage you, go back to season 2 and check out Dr. Zeller's episode. He's an amazing guy. And again, he was just given this very prestigious award this week in recognition of his work. And that work, he talks a lot about that work in the podcast. So
he sure does. Well, we are sitting atop what's called a 3-day weekend here stateside. And for some of us, we're taking that 3-day weekend and making it longer.
Yeah, looking at you, producer David.
What are you guys talking about? I'm here for the long haul.
But you're going.
All right.
I guess that's the end of it. So, Chris, what do you have planned for Monday?
Is he not going to come back?
I'm not worried about it. He will or he won't. You know what I mean?
So, well, you know what'll get him back is what I want to share now, because Keisha talked about merch, about selling merchandise, and I've been working on some merch ideas for our podcasts, and I wanted to share. I'm going to turn the light on here. See, I knew he'd come. I knew that would get him.
People who are just listening are super excited to hear about this merch too, Chris.
So
I'll describe
you might remember a few weeks back. I don't know how we got on the topic, but we were talking about animals, and I can't maybe remember which episode, but we have our own catchphrase that we just don't use enough. In fact, we've, I think, only used once, which is "kittens are baby cats."
Right.
But I've had our crack merch design team working on a T-shirt.
Oh, that's nice.
That would kittens see that kittens. So you can't.
I think that'll fly off the shelf.
We've got a beautiful little kitten in a field of flowers picture. The words "kittens are baby cats" and the Email Geeks logo.
Yeah.
So this is one of our merch ideas, and would love some feedback from our fans. If
I think we probably need to work that more into our sign on, sign off, right? Instead of being like, "Hey, thanks for coming, great to hear. Kittens are baby cats. We're out."
Just remember, kittens are baby cats. Yeah, I mean, and then over time, people say, we wish there was some merch that we could buy.
That's the kind of T-shirt the kids love, Chris. They're begging for the kittens or baby cats kind of shirts.
It's clever. I think the kids would call this a meme.
Right. It's flying off the shelves. We're doing direct to consumer on that, Chris, because it's that big.
There we go. So that's all I got. Producer David, do you want to talk a little bit about where you're going on this?
That's what I'd like to know.
Holiday?
So my girlfriend and my two furry children, we're all going down to Miramar Beach, which I've never been to, on the Florida Panhandle.
Miramar. Okay.
Yeah,
Is
I was
is
just
that
saying,
near Destin? Is it near Pensacola?
I believe so. I should do more research about where we're going to be. The only thing I cared about was whether or not there would be salt water nearby, and there will be salt water nearby. So I'm going to be a happy camper.
There you are. Well, please have a fantastic time. Take lots of pictures. Send them to us so that we can live vicariously through your joy.
Sure.
There you go. With that, another great episode in the books.
Yep.
I say if you're still on, make sure you like and subscribe. If you have not, comment. Let us know you're liking it. Smash, crush, destroy the like button. See how I'm hip to the kids.
There you go. Yeah. And if you're still here, again, we thank you. We appreciate our fans
For sure.
very much, and we appreciate our guests who share their wisdom and stories with us. Thank you. I want to again make sure we give thanks to all of them and to all of you.
And like always, remember,
Kittens are baby cats.
kittens are baby cats. See you.
See ya.